Друзья, всем большой привет. Меня зовут Влад, я являюсь руководителем
Hello, everyone. My name is Vlad. I'm head of the Information Security Center for Corporate and Investment Business and Subsidiaries. Ivan Suslin, the head of Information Security. So we'll start with a small warm-up. Raise your hand if somebody asked you, you're working in infosecurity, so prove that you're efficient. Who actually managed to prove it? Well, less in money. Who managed to do it? Even less than that. So you understand the idea of the question, right? So in fact, it's not just a question. In fact, when you're talking to business and the finances, these people, they don't measure your work based on successful incidents. They measure it through money. So what will help us to work with this process of infosecurity management. So there is a analysis, what you have in the company, say a project, IT system, or a process that you own. So, and you can see all the threats. You can be hacked, it can be data leakage, and any infosecurity specialist that deal with the risks can prove it that it's very difficult to assess the probability and high probability, low probability. So business will ask you to show how it's in practice looks. So we start with a quality analysis of risks, the same process, and then we realize that in order for the expert to work well and to give a precise analysis, you need to give them proper information to properly assess risks. So we brought here recommendations from our audit, internal audit. So we saw how it's going to work, and the group of companies is big infrastructure, and there can be many flows of data. So Ivan will tell you about the system that we use. So we started uploading more information. So we worked with standard bias and to give the expert to speak the same language with the owner of the process. So we need to see if the system is exposed or not, what products the system has in it. So if there is a data leakage, then what's going to happen? What's going to happen if the data of our partners will go there, will be leaked? So we decided to categorize them. So what happens now? You probably, and if somebody hacks us, then somebody will write about it in some media, and people will know it. So you can look at the heat map, and the red color is a very high risk. So best practice is best practice, and people use it, but it doesn't work all the time. So our business started getting these questions, and the risk is high, and how much money are we going to lose? And here we have data lake. Talking to our business, our counter-agent and methodology development, the finance is our partner on this one. So the colleagues told us, guys, so your risk is now just evaluated. So show us the data that could confirm your evaluation. First of all, this is the data of external incidents that happened to the company that can be compared to our group. So if there is a leak in a big metallurgy company, so you can't really compare it with a big bank. So that's why please give us information of the finance company. Also, it would be great if we can show you, say, if there was a leakage of data in the company, so Sergey told you about it, that somebody opened a malicious message, or you didn't have an antivirus on your computer. So there must be something concrete. We need to compare with what happened to other company, and if we can apply it to us. Do we have antivirus? If we have antivirus and people work correctly, And you can't really tell the business that this is how you're going to lose the data.
И, собственно говоря, бизнес-кейс инициатив.
So, and then we have here business case with initiatives. Ivan, so the floor is yours. Okay, Vlad. Hello, everyone. Which of you
Система класса SGRC.
Which of you know the system of GRC class?
В принципе, основное отличие от
The main comparison
Data Lake для оценки
with data lake
рисков в
to
системах
assess risks,
нужно
GRC class systems,
собрать кучу
you need to collect not only lots of information, but also you need to enrich this information.
выполнение данной задачи
In order to do that,
много источников, и
we have lots of sources,
чуть в прошлое, то мы
and if we looked retrospectively,
с обычных систем.
we started with regular systems. This is in the orange box on the top.
Загружали сами системы, и к ним
We downloaded those systems and everything
сервера.
that was linked to the systems, I mean servers. So it wasn't enough. We had to create a whole process so that this information was enriched. And then we had this sensitivity assessment. And based on this one, we determine the sensitivity of applications, of different types of risks, and we determine more precise data that could be applicable to this system and how. And also we look at compliance of each system. This is the yellow box on the right. So knowing this information, which we had not only after download. In the system there is a huge workflow and many participants from business, from IT, and from operation risks, and we understand and what impact from any event could be in each system. But of course it's not enough. There is also information in this system, and we have a huge questionnaire. With the requirements that we got, and based on our experience, we realized that the data that we have meet the requirements that we got. So we need to check that and identify the gaps in this particular case. Regularly, the risk analysis is done on the activities that relates to changes in the system. For example, we need particular information, what changes in a particular system. So after a new integration, so we can see JIRA, there's change activities. Besides, we need to know what exactly changes in the system, what does business want. And this information is uploaded, and we keep it in mind when we analyze risks. And for risk analysis, we need to also understand what is already set up from a technical point of view. If we say that at previous stage we checked the requirements of the regulator that should be applied to the system, then here we need to understand what technical gaps this system has. This is vulnerabilities, results of pen tests, and also we need to know all incidents in the system that were related to it. We need to do a risk analysis not only for systems, but also with the activities and the teams. That's why there is information on the maturity of the teams, on processes. In our system, there are many roles: analysts, owners of the system, the auditors, specialists in infosecurity and IT, and all of these guys are there. So, and they enrich this system. So what do we have under the hood? Besides classical integration, there are different types of forms that should be filled out. Some of them are filled out automatically. Some of them are filled by participants that you saw on the previous slide. And here you can see a standard form to be filled, a workflow that exists in the system to be filled out, and small forms besides risk analysis that we'll get back to.
Можно построить разного рода и вот вида графики, которые...
And we can also build different graphs, and these graphs will show you what information we have there based on the data that's already in the system.
Условно это вот представлено в виде верхнеуровневого виде графа, то что...
So you can see the graph here. That system has many different sources, and they should be unified, and as analytics should be given to the managers. We realized what is very important for managers and officers of top management. They need to have a convenient user interface. Everything should be consolidated in one window so that they don't have to kind of jump from one window to another to look for the information they need. So we need a very comfortable CX and UX. And how to do it with the system, and how to have the tasks that you need to be done. So Alexei will tell you. Friends, for those who is a bit tired, let's get to hardcore just to really nail you. This is a practical case. So few millions we are lacking. This is 3.26 million. This is how much risks we managed to mitigate. And how we got this number. Here on the top, on the right, you can see the graph that shows you how the risks were mitigated and decreased with the program of information security that was introduced. I'll show you the formula, how we calculated it on the next slide, and you can see that bank is making money by decreasing the risks, and you can see how much company spends on information security, so we subtract one from another and we get this number. So what we need is a good data set. So you understand they couldn't show you real data, so that's why we blurred it a little and we optimized it. So real risks that we're using, confidentiality, accessibility, failure proof. Here on the left, you can see that system 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 were protected over the time. It's clearly that the big system cannot be made in one day. So that's why there is a certain graph and how gradually we begin to protect it. So you can see that the squares, they're getting lighter, and it means that this protection gets lower, but when it gets brighter, so the protection gets stronger. Again, system is not built for 1 year, so some systems were created from MVP, and then some functionality we had for them for keeping card data and then sending this card data to all our partners, and this is how the functionality of the system was developed. If you digitize these two indicators, you can multiply them, and you can get the probability indicators. So we have a mature system, and there can be threat in this system, and this system will be impacted more. So it means that the system is less protected, and it is quite high probability that the risk will be realized. So what we have, we need to multiply it by a concrete financial indicator. Here we have the options, and on the right you can see different links to different articles and some information messages on the internet. So we did this download long ago. We checked it with the finances. So first, we need a company that could be comparable with us, and what was the financial impact. So if these three indicators were not in the article, so we couldn't take this article for the assessment. So in this case, we see what are the gray squares, so why the event was actually realized. So and then you multiply the tables on the left and on the right. So in 3.26 euro, it's not a bad million, it's not a bad number. So how to prove that you're efficient? To prove it financially. So there is ROI. So what does it mean? So how great you are. So you mitigated the risks. You see how much you spend, and you TCO formula divided by TCO. So it's TCO formulas in the center. This is how we calculated ROI. We understand there are different risks, different measures that influence the risk, and saying that ROI was 100 rubles and we made 100 rubles and 5, so ROI is not correct. So we need to calculate it correctly to be able to compare it with the numbers. So the formula that I showed you in the previous slide, so we have the risk for each measure of protection, and then we calculate the indicator of its efficiency. So we see what impact it decreases and the probability of incident to be realized. And the result for the last year is 1.25. You can see the shares of Apple, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft and NVIDIA. So how the coefficient was 0.8, and here 1.25. So you see the impact, and you see how well we did. So all that was confirmed by the finance department. So it's not like I'm trying to boast about it here. So who would like to try it? So not so many people want to try it. So okay. So everybody who wants to try that. So here's our vacancies. So you can use QR code and go to them. So thank you very much.
Друзья, вопросы?
Friends, any questions?
Да.
Yes.
Да, у меня вопрос.
I have a question.
Как именно
Could you tell us how you calculated efficiency of information security using money?
Я стараюсь.
How you can see the efficiency in money? Because in ROI, so
Это формула снизу. Еще раз, да, то есть у нас
what was the efficiency of measures of information security? So it's there in the low formula. So we have all the measures that we do in our company, more than 10,000 of them. Each measure has to do with a particular risk that it decreases, and it shows what indicator it manages to decrease. And so knowing the formula that we had here, right here, so you know how well you decrease the risk. So it's clear for you. So you manage to protect them. So now you need to link the measure with a particular risk. So you take all your measures and you take all the risks and measures that decrease these risks, and you see to what degree the measure decrease the risk. For example, at some point, it managed to decrease from 1.25 million to 0.6 million and to from 1. So we took just the average, the median. So because we have quite a volume. So and this is how we get these two indicators. And then for particular measures, and I think it's about 25, 30 measures. So there are different type of measures. Everything that's has to do with web publication, firewall, and static code. So you calculate the median of the numbers. So you get the rate of results with it. So you multiply this ratio to just only get the result. Oh, thank you very much. It would be much easier to show you in the system when just if there was an example, that would be great to see seeing it in numbers. By the way, it's a great question. Do we still have time? Yes, we do. Okay, great. In 2020, our business said we want to collaborate, we want to use Tipsy. We saw how the market is protected, we talked to our colleagues, we took the security broker, we bought it, and we implemented it, and then a year later it comes to us that we can't use external clouds anymore, so we had to turn down the COSB, so that's why ROI was minus 75. It's pretty solid indicator. And there are measures like web application firewall, so it's kind of spread across the company, and it decreases the risks. For example, a developer has certain problems with certain parts of the code and some other stories. For example, they forgot to do a pen test, and they had to do it, and just they didn't have pen test, and the ROI was about 3.5. So all this is calculated using the formula. Maybe we can talk about it in more detail if you want. So more questions? Thank you for your presentation. The question is, how did you motivate your product teams to work in SGRC? People are saying, okay, everything works with us, so protect us. So how did you prove that they need to bring this information there and to keep it in the external system? Two things. First, Ivan was talking about this, talking with the heads of the departments. So we have partners who are responsible for each domain and each department knows. Now in the teams, we are developing this expertise of champions, and we develop them as part of the agile teams. And Ivan will tell you how we did the integration so that the teams could work in SGRC.
Самое главное, это, конечно же, CX, UX, удобно.
Of course, the most thing is CX and UX. And we
в системе полностью получить перечень.
In the system, we had the list of teams. We had to analyze and make the assessment. And based on this, we make a questionnaire that is filled out then it is used in all other audits. For example, an audit of Central Bank of AU4 that should be done. And this system gave us an opportunity to reuse information from different sources. From the point of view of working with GRC, we had to make most simple mechanism so that people of high level, like top management and owners of systems, could do something in it. So therefore, all necessary information is collected before that by different participants of the process. Some security champions and officers and analysts, and our team enriches the data. And what we need to do, we just need to approve the result that we get. And we get this result in a proper way to look at by the members of the team. Before, all these processes were on the paper, so we had to send it a lot of Excel and Word documents to each other, and it doesn't work well. But first, if you have a good interface in the system, it works and it doesn't lag at every step. Owners like it. It's one thing, and the teams before. Recently, we did a CDF for them, and it was great. They said it's one of the best experiences in their career when cybersecurity creates such an event, and so that they can train the expertise and people. They work with the products more intensely and more efficiently. More? Anton, hello.
Можно я повторю примерно?
May I repeat the question of my colleague? I just paraphrase it a little. Yeah, clear with the gaps and the cost of the protection measures, but the impact, the potential loss when the risks are realized. So I think the IS, and I understand that the data and the content of the data, but if leakage risk is realized potentially, so what do you think? How you calculate it in money? So do you have like a table of possibilities, and for each particular case you kind of calculate on its own? Now, first we do analysis of risks, and we do it for all initiatives. For example, there is agile team and they're developing some product or service platform, and there is risk analysis on it that describes the risks that it may incur. So say acquisition and mergers deals, and so we look at it and then we cover it. So in order to calculate the money and to say that this is how much it cost, so we get the confirmation of our finance department, and they say, so make a huge, like for several hundreds of lines table, so use break down the attack and show us that a different company from financial market, how they lost the money. Since we bank, that would be similar to us, and why this attack was successful, and you compare it with our states. So it helps us to connect the coverage we have and cover the financial loss. And this potential losses you take from the statistics. So this is SIS. External statistics is from SAS, where you can buy it. This is the interns. This is our manual work. I used to be like that, making this first model, and I was calculating the statistics. It's just hellish work.
Там не всегда вот прям 100% вот вся информация, которая тебе нужна. Вот.
Не, ну хорошо, вот утечка delivery, например, да, все отлично, да и последние все, да, вот мы там.
Okay, I'll continue. So we actually see that the fine from the authorities is
So, but
really
if there was a
laughable.
leakage and you see that there was a fine from Roskomnadzor that they had to pay, and you can see that 60,000 rubles, there was this, and reputational risks, you also calculate them. No, we calculate only that was
everything which was fixed.
There.
If it has caused 50,000 rubles loss, we believe them. Then they release a report in 2019, and there is a leak in the company which has led to 14 million euros. We believe them, and they accumulate a huge database. And it is confirmed, you measure the median, and this is how it happens. That's not what's measuring the expenses by a single dime, but it manages your risks and measures it and helps you take into account strategy. When you say a high risk, it's not allowing you to do so. And I think this is it. Okay, we are done.